Hey, everyone. Hey. Hey. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. It was a great pay-per-view, I thought, and it's great to see a lot of you in person. I really appreciate you all coming out to cover Ring of Honor and Death Before Dishonor. To start it out, still the Ring of Honor World Champion, Claudio Castagnoli.
Cover it up with one of mine.
Yeah, that's great. It should. Thank you, champ.
Almost.
Nice.
Similar
Very similar jackets.
Yeah. Very nice. BillPritchardWrestleZone.com. Tony, we spoke a little bit about the changes that went into the card as far as Eddie Kingston, Mark Briscoe. Claudio, I'd like to get your response to just how you found about some of these changes, just going through different opponents, if your mindset changed at all, and how you feel about getting a chance to face Pac in this situation. Pac.
Well, I don't care. I'm still the champ. I told everybody Eddie wasn't ready, so whatever excuse Eddie has not to be here, I'm sure if he wasn't in Japan, he would have found something else. I told Mark he wasn't ready. I was right about that. And I'm happy after Wednesday that I got my hands on Pac tonight. So plus he's also somebody that I haven't faced in a long time. So on a competitive note, that's very satisfying. And on a personal note, it's even better.
Claudio John Alba fight. We saw this match set up in the Blood and Guts match between you and Pac. And I'd like to know, what are your thoughts on utilizing the main event of a prominent AEW show to add equity to this Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
I mean, that's the beauty of having all those different properties, between Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, Ring of Honor. And that you can use all that to set threads for everybody to enjoy. And yeah, Blood and Guts was quite the experience, and tonight was quite the experience. So I thought that just made sense.
Corey Lieb with the Wrestling Observer. So we're now just a little bit past the 1 year mark of your time here with AEW and Ring of Honor. Can you tell us at least your expectations when you signed to now, obviously being the Ring of Honor champion for almost 7-8 months now, the two combined reigns. Has it been everything you wanted? And in regards to wrestling, and also where do you see yourself, at least in the next year, progressing in regards to being the Ring of Honor champion and obviously working AEW as well?
I don't like to think that far ahead, but the way it looks like, I'm going to sit here again next year with this championship, because I feel like me and everybody from the Blackpool Combat Club are on a completely different level right now. And that's the fun, being part of the Blackpool Combat Club, that there's never a moment of stagnation. There's never a moment where we're not looking how to get better. I was talking with Mox right after Blood and Guts. We already talk today. There's, I think they mentioned that there's a group chat that we always exchange new moves, new ways to improve. You always have to be on your toes, especially if you're in a team with two of the arguably best wrestlers on the planet in Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, and with somebody that's as young and hungry as Wheeler, you cannot take a step backwards, and you cannot let up. Otherwise, it's just not an option, and that's what I love about it. It keeps me going, it keeps me motivated, and I feel like we bring the best out of everybody. And actually, like, I don't have to say I know we do, because what you saw on Wednesday, what you saw tonight, we just the gold standard.
Rob Williams, popbreak.com. Claudio, congrats on the win tonight. Piggybacking on what Bill said, coming out of Blood and Guts, a lot going on with the BCC, a lot of moving parts. You're a world champion here tonight. Just talk to us about that balance, being a world champion and being able to retain with so many moving parts.
I mean, that's why I'm the world champion, right? Because you need somebody that can handle that. And if you're the world champion, there's no, like, I don't see it as anything special, right? Like, it was 50 minutes on Wednesday. It was 20 plus minutes today, whatever the day brings. Like, you don't get to that level by picking and choosing or whatever. Like, in my opinion, you get to that level because you have something to prove every single time. And every time you get to a point, it never gets easier. It only gets harder. So you have to embrace that, and that needs to be part of your lifestyle. That's just how it is, and you cannot expect it to get easier. It gets harder, and that's great. That's what I live for. So bring it on.
Xenia from Xenia Did That. Congrats on your win tonight. I have a bit of a cheesy question, because you've retained your title at two consecutive
Swiss, I like
pay-per-views. And I've been interviewing fans before both shows. And at both shows, I've encountered fans from Switzerland and from Germany who relate to you a lot and who love you a lot. So are you aware of this impact that you have on the international viewer? And do you consider it when you wrestle, when you go out there?
Yes, I am. And I have always been very conscious of the fact that there are a lot of international viewers, especially from Europe, especially from Switzerland and Germany. But I feel like all over the world that kind of look up to what I'm doing, because it's a crazy thing to do for a Swiss person, and it's a crazy thing to do for a European to do this. And I feel like a lot of people who have dreams that may seem completely out of reach, they see me do it, and they feel that's something they can achieve as well. And it's those little things that motivate me. It's those little things that keep me going. I met a guy from Switzerland in a meet and greet who is an actor now, quite successful on like a bunch of shows. And he said he saw me perform on a live event, and he was like working for a bank or something. And he was like, whoa, like he just went and followed his dream, and now he's doing it. So he quit his job and started acting, and he started at the bottom, just doing nothing. And then now he's booking some serious gigs according to his Instagram account and stuff. So I follow him and still talk with him. And like, to me, those little things, they mean so much. So like, even when I'm tired, even when I'm jet lagged, like this morning I had like a 6 a.m. flight. I land, I go to the gym, I come here. Like, that's what you do. There's no other way. That's how I represent every single person like that travels from Switzerland, that travels internationally, that comes here to see me perform. It needs to be the best performance that I can do today, no matter what the circumstances are. And that's my way of showing the extreme gratitude for all the fans that are international and that come here because they come a long way to see me. And I do really, really, really appreciate that. Yes.
More questions for Claudio?
Blackpool Combat Club, the name had a strong tie to William Regal. Obviously, with his departure, there were some thoughts that you'd have to work to sort of reinvent the group. Do you feel like you've represented the name well, and do you feel like you've strengthened the bond between the members of the group that are still here, even in his absence?
Yes. There was not 1 second of us thinking of changing the name. That's who we are, and that's our identity. And I mean, if one of your friends moved away, you wouldn't just not be friends with him anymore, right? Like, especially if you're going through the stuff that we went through. And to me, that's part of what keeps us going, right? No matter what, no matter who's watching, we want to be the best. And that's how the Blackpool Combat Club was founded, and that's how we're going forward. And I don't think there was ever a thought for a second about like changing anything about it, except that we need to strive to be the best.
Final questions for Claudio? Thank you, Claudio.
Thank you, Claudio. It was a great week of wrestling, blood and guts, and now tonight, Death Before Dishonor. Thank you, champ.
Thank you. We're not done with Pop yet, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was a great match, and it was a great pay-per-view, I thought. And from one great champion from an international background to another great champion from an international background, I think coming in now, we've got the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, the great Katsuyori Shibata. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It's great. It's a great pleasure to have Shibata-san here.
Hi, Corey Lee from the Wrestling Observer. Couple questions. I've noticed over the past your couple matches, it's been a lot more hard hitting in regards to using forearms to the head. Has the wrestling for you since you've kind of been back to wrestling as of past 6 months, you feel more comfortable in regards to the matches? And then the second question I had is, are you still affiliated with the LA Dojo? And since you are with Ring of Honor, are you a full-time Ring of Honor wrestler, or are you still affiliated with New Japan and the LA Dojo?
Okay, so we'll go first question. It's very hard hitting.
Okay.
Oh,
I brought a new interpreter today.
Yeah.
very good.
One moment. Yeah.
This is amazing. For many reasons.
Thank you, Tony, for reviving me as a wrestler. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. I appreciate it. He's the best. I really appreciate Shibata-san so much. Having him here and having him on top and having him as one of the top stars in Ring of Honor and as part of our locker room, it means the world. And I think you're seeing a great champion come alive. And the performances we've been getting, like you said, they've been getting harder and harder hitting. But like you said, I think that speaks to the revitalization of the great Shibata, and he is a great champion in wrestling. And so you've seen the performances get harder and harder. So no, I appreciate that. They also asked about the LA Dojo. You still do LA Dojo? No, he's not. He's more focused on being the champion.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's been very hard hitting, great style he's doing, but that speaks to, again, he's really revitalized, I think, and rejuvenated as a great champion. Yeah, Bill.
Shibata's introduction to AEW was linked to Orange Cassidy, the match in Atlantic City. Were you thinking like this far ahead as far as maybe pairing him with somebody with the sort of comedic element? Because you saw some of that work with Daniel Garcia.
Very specific. It was him. He wanted to work with Orange Cassidy from day one. Before he came, he always was interested in it. And he thinks Orange is a great wrestler. And before we knew each other, this was like, last year. And like you said, Atlantic City, it wasn't really just trying to pair him with anybody of any genre or anybody. That was a specific wrestler he came and really wanted to be involved with. And to get some extra attention on the match, I brought Mike Tyson and tried to get a lot of attention, because then I thought not only could we help pop a number and get some fans watching, but also tell people about the great story of Shibata, introduce him. And I thought Mike did a great job with the commentary, and he was very well prepared and organized, and the match was excellent. And it was a great way to reintroduce Shibata on American television to, in some ways, a new audience of AEW fans, but also a new chapter of his career that we were, really optimistic about. And certainly we've taken it step by step. But like he said, he's come back. He's like alive, and he feels like, I think, like he said, he's back. So to Corey's question, I think the matches have gotten harder hitting and more impactful. But that speaks to like he's gotten more and more comfortable, which was the goal. And I think it's gone as well as possible. And he keeps winning and winning and winning. So it's great. Yes, please. You can totally follow up.
Seeing how successful that match and that pairing was, did you see some of the work that Daniel Garcia is doing now and think, okay, it worked then, it'll also apply here? Or was it just a case by case or a opponent by opponent?
I think so. It's like, sure, I think that's part of it. I think Daniel Garcia is doing great. And in wrestling, I think there's some similarities, but I think they're different acts, but there's similarities in that both of them are great technical wrestlers in their own way. But this is very entertainment-based presentation. And they're really, in some ways, flip sides of the same coin. For some of the same reasons I thought that Orange and Garcia would be a great rivalry for the international title, I thought Garcia would be a great foil to introduce into this program. I think Garcia was excellent in the match, but I also think the 4-way match at Forbidden Door was tremendous, and they were involved in that. And there was a tag team match where Garcia actually got the pin, which was obviously referenced in the press conference, but you saw how physical the match was. Shibata really made him pay for the disrespect he gave him along the match. And Garcia is a former Ring of Honor Pure Champion, so that's also a natural reason for the match. So I was excited about it for many reasons, and I thought it was a great, great match. I don't know if there's anything you want to say about Garcia. Yeah, please. Yeah. Please. No, please. Thank you. Big Domo. He's a man. This is very surreal to have Shibata sitting beside me and representing Ring of Honor, and to have Shibata fighting and continuing to have the matches get better and better. It's awesome.
Garcia all about dancing.
Taught Garcia all about dancing. Yeah, you did. Like he said, you don't like the dance in the press conference. He really doesn't like the dance, and it showed. And I thought it showed up in the match. And he's really found ways to make the Pure title more and more meaningful. I think it's really one of the special all-time great runs as the Pure champion.
Garcia is a good player. He felt the future of professional wrestling.
That's great. He's Garcia's special talent.
Sorry, he's a good sports entertainer.
He's so good. He's very good.
All right.
Very good.
Question.
Thank you. John Alba fight. I was going to ask Shibata about his thoughts on what Daniel was capable of becoming in the future, but Tony, it's undeniable that you're seeing his presentation is improving over time. In your opinion, what has working with Chris Jericho done for Daniel Garcia in making him a more well-rounded performer?
I think it's been a tremendous, tremendous benefit for Daniel Garcia to be mentored by a great wrestler and a great sports entertainer like Chris Jericho, and then putting Garcia in with top wrestlers, a rivalry with Bryan Danielson, and obviously teaming with Chris Jericho, and then taking on great wrestlers like Orange Cassidy for the International Championship, like Katsuyori Shibata for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, like the top names. And you continue to see Garcia delivers, and he keeps getting better and better. So it's very, very exciting. And I thought it was an amazing match tonight at Death Before Dishonor, Shibata versus Garcia.
I think his future special. He's good sports entertainer.
He's the best. He's the best.
Corey Lieb again with the Wrestling Observer. When you first came to Ring of Honor, the two people that you obviously wanted to wrestle were Bryan Danielson and Orange Cassidy. You've wrestled one of them. Obviously, Bryan's injured right now. Are there any other opponents that you want to wrestle while you're here? And do you also want to not only compete with Ring of Honor, do you want to appear on AEW as well in regards to the to your reign?
Well, so go back, Corey. Maybe break it down again one more time.
No problem. So basically, is there a list of opponents that you're interested in wrestling at this point, besides whoever's next for the pure title?
Yeah, and top challengers is a great question, because he's had some great matches, and I think there's a lot of great challengers still to come.
My goal now is to make a pure title record.
Yep. I think the record reign is nearly 1 year, right? So that's very interesting. And looking back at when he won the title, I think it was a great performance at Supercard. He's been amazing. So it's interesting to see that he's aiming to be the all-time longest reigning champion, the record title holder, which I believe would be nearly 1 year.
Final questions, Shibata?
It's awesome.
And I will study English harder.
It's very good. You're very good. You're very good. His ego is much better than my Nihongo.
Any final questions?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're the man. Thank you. Thank you. He's the best. Thank you. And now, the winner of the main event, the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, retaining the title in the third match, the deciding rubber match in a great trilogy. I believe we're going to have the champion, Athena. Awesome. Here we go. What a great match. What a great pay-per-view. And a great champion. What a dominant, great run it's been. What a great trilogy and a great main event. Thank you, champ. Thank you. It's great to see you. Questions for the champ?
Hi, Athena.
Hi.
So we talked about this the other day in our interview about you main eventing tonight, which you did. You now move 32-0 in Ring of Honor competition. So what's next?
I don't know. I'm just very thrilled right now, and it's very hard for me to articulate things. So I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to be a sad sap. But this meant the world to me. I've never gotten a main event in my entire career on a pay-per-view. And when Tony approached me a couple weeks ago about like, hey, we're giving you the ball. We're gonna, it meant so much to be given that opportunity because it felt like me and Willow earned something. Despite the fact that she gave me probably my best match in my career thus far, I still came out on top. And as far as what's next, the sky's the limit. I'm looking for more women to step up in Ring of Honor. I'm looking for women in AEW to issue that challenge to the forever Ring of Honor champion. I'm open to all challengers. It's not a matter of what I do next. It's a matter of who steps up next. Thank you.
Athena, John Alba fight. In the last few years in wrestling, we have seen women's wrestling come a long way. We have seen representation come a long way in pro wrestling. And tonight we saw 2 black women main event a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I was curious if you've had a chance to put that into context for yourself, and what do you think this does for the industry going forward?
I've said it before, like representation is key, right? When I was starting out on the independent scene, I remember being the only African-American woman on every show I was on. And they were like, no, you're that person. You're our African-American woman on this show. And it was just a niche thing. And to see how much it's blossomed, it's not about race. It's about your ability and your talent in the ring. It's awesome. And to be given that platform, not only as an African-American woman, as a performer, and being able to deliver, that's what matters. And everyone that's looking at home, whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern, I want everyone to take this opportunity and look and say, I can do it. And I can do anything I set my mind to.
Piggybacking off of both of their questions, your comment about being the one black performer on a show kind of struck a chord because Willow made a comment a few years ago about being in the same position. Is that something that you knew about her saying, or Tony, maybe you can speak to why you felt this was the right match to put in the main event, because there's been plenty of women's AEW talent that have wanted that spot. Obviously, that Willow and Athena earned this. So can you talk about why this was the right opportunity and how you feel after the fact?
Yeah, it's great. You want to go first?
Yeah, it was always a thing. Like when I first started off, and I've been doing this for a very long time, working on 18 years, in this business. I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've done dumb stuff. I've done great stuff. But like that was a thing, and to see the evolution of women's wrestling, to see us not being the quote unquote popcorn match, seeing us being able to main event, be headliners across the board, whether it be AEW or ROH or Dark for that matter. We have made that statement that we're not going anywhere and we're going to continue to earn that spot.
Yeah, I also believe that they earned the position. It was really a great trilogy. I thought the match they had on the second episode of ROH TV, it was actually the main event of the very first taping we did when I started doing the new TV show. I thought it was maybe the best match we've had on the TV show so far. It was definitely one of the best main events we've had. It was tremendous main event, and it really made me think there was potential for a great trilogy. I thought they had a great match on Rampage in the semifinals of the Owen Hart Foundation Cup. Originally, that match was going to take place a week earlier on Collision, and we actually had to postpone it till the next week because we wanted to make sure Willow was okay after her New Japan Strong title defense in Japan on the Independence Day show, July 5th. So definitely have been a big fan of the rivalry, and to me, they've had 2 amazing matches. There's this amazing potential for a third match, and I really believe tonight the main event of Death Before Dishonor was your best match yet. I think it was in a great title reign with dominant defenses, 32-0 now in Ring of Honor, and this great long title reign. I think this was the best match yet. It was a great pay-per-view main event, and I think it was our best pay-per-view yet. It's no secret it's been a challenging way to get here. Like I just said, Willow getting injured really push their second match back in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, which then I felt probably meant we needed to wait another week to announce this match for Death Before Dishonor, because I think we could have announced that match maybe even a week sooner, but I think it was better to make sure Willow was going to be okay to do their match in the Owen Hart Cup, let alone Death Before Dishonor, both. And so there's other challenging things we talked about along the way. I think that was certainly one of the things, but on this pay-per-view, it reminds me of last year, Forbidden Door, the original Forbidden Door. It was one of our best shows, but there was a lot of injuries and issues along the way that came up that changed some of the matches, but also allowed us to put together, even with the changes, one of the best shows we've ever done. And I really believe for Ring of Honor, that's what tonight was one of the best shows we've ever done. It was a great main event, and certainly for a great champion. It was, I think, who's had a lot of great main events. It was a great pay-per-view main event, a great show, and it's a great trilogy, to your point, which is why I thought it would be a great match, the rubber match for the world title in the main event. Thank you. Thank you.
Corey Lieb with the Wrestling Observer. There was a couple spots in the match that were almost like little love letters to the Women of Honor in regards to who came before. Was obviously that was meant to be in that sense, to kind of thank the people before you coming in. And then also the second thing is obviously what's next. That's a big question, because we don't, obviously there is no number one contender. Could there be maybe somebody from Japan that might want to be coming here to wrestle by the name of Julia? Did you be interested in wrestling? And
of course.
And but yeah, like I said, I just wanted to know you have your mindset about the little love letters that you kind of did through that match.
So a lot of people don't know this. I actually used to work for Ring of Honor in the way before times. You can go on watchringofhonor.com to see some of those matches. Let me kind of start from the beginning. I ended up having the pleasure of getting to wrestle Mischief in Texas on a show for ACW for the American Queen of Queens tournament. And she enjoyed that match so much, she actually got me to Shimmer and Ring of Honor. So Mischief, basically made Athena a bigger name. Not to mention women like Sarah Del Rey, who was a force to be reckoned with. She wasn't your normal wrestler at that time. She was powerful. She was strong. You have Alexis Lurie, which was the whole reason that Ring of Honor started having women's wrestling, because they saw something special. There were so many other women as well. We even did a shout out to Daphne. Alice in Danger. These women inspired me. Sumi Sakai. These women inspired me to be more than just a pretty face. That women could be gorgeous and beautiful, strong and powerful, and go out there and just kick ass. And to me, those women don't get enough credit. Right? We talk about the Ring of Honor Championship when that was introduced, and Maria Kanellis, hell yeah, thank you for that. But before then, do you guys remember, Alexis Lurie is Mickie James, a woman that's transformed this industry. Sarah Del Rey, who is now coaching, has transformed this whole industry. I felt that it was so necessary for us to have that love letter to them. Daisy Hayes, these women inspired everyone. And you can see just across the board, if you go look up just one of these women, you can see how that evolution has turned. And I have to give a shout out to cheerleader Melissa too. Mercedes Martinez, Serena Deeb. There are so many more women that I wish we could have inserted that, but we just felt that it was so necessary, right? We forget sometimes about what came before, and it's so important to see those building blocks, right? See those building blocks and just remember that, hey, we need to say thank you to them. So that, yes, that is mine and maybe Porcelain Willow's love letter to pro wrestling. But it's a tribute to the original Ring of Honor women, and shout out to Lacey too. A tribute to the original women of honor, right? That we don't get to talk about. Look, as far as what's next, I'm sitting right here, I'm waiting. I can go tomorrow if I need to, right? I would love to wrestle Julia from Japan, Kairi Sane. There's so many, Mayu. There are so many beautiful women that I just would love the opportunity to wrestle. And like I said, I've never gotten to go to Japan. That's always been a dream of mine, still on the bucket list. So bring them over here and I'll break them and send them back over there.
Hi, Athena. Aisha Lomax from Women's Wrestling Talk. Congratulations. You're great. Along those same lines about you saying you would like to wrestle in Japan, would love to know, is there a possibility in the future for Ring of Honor to do any kind of co-branding with possibly Stardom? You've had some talent come and wrestle for Ring of Honor. Just want to know, is there going to be possibly an event like the World of the Worlds or Global Wars or anything like that?
I'm definitely interested in matches with working with other promotions. And I think we've shown that time after time. We want to work with other promotions, and certainly the top women's wrestling promotions around the world, and in particular in Japan, I think have a lot of great stars to offer. So yeah, I think there's a lot of possibilities working with potentially Stardom. Certainly we've already worked with New Japan Strong, and we've actually had the New Japan Strong women's champion with Willow in AEW, and Willow also was involved in that tournament with wrestlers from all over the world who came to fight for the Strong title. So I think there's a ton of potential things we could do that would be really exciting. Definitely a great main event tonight with Willow, and I think there's a lot of great potential opponents now for Athena as champion, and certainly people lining up to try to take the championship away.
Can I have a follow-up question along those lines? How, I guess, back to, you said whoever steps up, right? Whoever steps up, and Willow gave you a run for your money tonight. So what, looking forward, whoever decides to step up, like how do you mentally prepare? How will you mentally prepare?
I mean, I feel like Willow has caught me off guard, especially in the second match when she beat me. Like, she did it fair and square, and I can't deny it. I can give you every excuse in the book why it happened, but she beat me. And tonight was a little bit different. I went with a different strategy of having to dig deep because, let's face it, like, I am all over Ring of Honor. Every move that I've ever done is all over watchroh.com, right? So I'm very easily scouted. So tonight was about me going to a different well, digging in deeper than I've ever had, digging through history to find new moves, new advantages. And honestly, Willow still gave me a run for my money. Like, I can't deny that. But at the end of the day, I broke her with a no face, a pass out with a cross face, a deadly forearm, if you will, before all of that. And I came out on top. So as far as I'm concerned, Willow's not in the picture anymore. Willow can go on and do whatever she needs to do. I am the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, and I am going to continue to be your forever ROH champion. And this is my time. This is probably the best run of my entire career, and I don't intend to take it lightly. I don't intend to have anyone step through my show, my division, and think that they're better than me. I'm going to knock them flat on their ass and then send them home crying.
Final questions for Athena?
We spoke a lot about the historical context of this match. You've been a confident champion, the forever champion. Does getting this spot put a bigger chip on your shoulder? What does it do for your confidence now that, the moments you're living in the moment right now?
I haven't really processed that yet. Like, there were several moments where I came backstage and I wanted to cry because I was so happy, because for the first time in my career, I did have that main event. And I was extremely emotional because the pressure was on, not just for me, but for the division, for the AEW women's division, to show that, like, women's wrestling matters. And me and Willow, we went out there and proved that tonight. Like, it puts a chip on my shoulder. Absolutely. Like, there was already a chip there, let's be honest. But it's humbling to think that we can go out there and still entertain the fans after all the amazing athletes on Ring of Honor, like across the board, to sit there and still be able to get the crowd invested, still be able to get everyone behind what we're doing, and just be able to entertain people. So have I processed it yet? Like, I'll probably go to my hotel tonight and have a nice, good, like, happy cry about it. But I'm just immensely happy at the work that we put in, because, like, I said it before, we're living up to the legacy that was upheld before we got here while creating our own. Not only that, we are creating the standard for women to come, whether they be in AEW or Ring of Honor. Like, we're setting that bar and just showing the world what we can do.
Congratulations on your win tonight, Athena. Xenia from Xenia did that. So you mentioned that tonight's match was your first pay-per-view main event. I was wondering if there's any other milestone that you have still yet to achieve, that you have your sights set on, maybe like a childhood dream in wrestling that you've always wanted to achieve.
Is there anything else I'm looking forward to? I'm sorry.
Milestone.
Milestone. Well, my old girl here is getting kind of lonely. I thought that I was going to win the Owen Hart Foundation Championship or the tournament. Like, she's getting lonely. She might need a friend. So I will leave it at that, and we'll see what happens.
Final questions for here. Thank you.
Thank you, champ.
Thank you, guys.
What a great main event. Thank you again, champ. Thank you. Congrats.
Questions for Tony?
Hi, Bill.
There was a report this week from Fightful about Samoa Joe's availability, that his commitments to Twisted Metal Press might have taken him away for a little bit. Can you speak on that?
Well, it never came to that, but I think thankfully he was available and he was here. And the Samoa Joe is one of the greatest wrestlers in Ring of Honor history, the inaugural Hall of Fame class, and dominant TV champion and undefeated in this new iteration of Ring of Honor. And I thought it was a great match tonight. So I was just really happy he was here. And we're very fortunate to have Samoa Joe in ROH and AEW. He's also been a huge part of the AEW Collision launch, and he's been a great champion in AEW really for the past year plus. He was a great TNT champion, and I think he's just the king of television. So I was just really glad he was here, and he's awesome both in the ring and backstage. Samoa Joe is really a leader, I think, backstage and certainly in the ring.
Corey Lee with the Wrestling Observer. Do we have any preliminary buys for Honor Club for this show in regards to any type of estimate? And also,
I know the preliminary buys were before the show were good. I was really checking to make sure everybody came out. It was a very hard-hitting physical show. Thankfully, everyone was okay, the champions and the challengers and everyone in all the great matches. So very awesome to have such a hard-hitting and memorable show where everybody got out okay. I'm not sure on the buys, but I think it did well. And for ROH, it's a different expectation than it is for AEW. And bear in mind, I think this will end up being one of the most successful shows in the history of ROH. But a large percentage of the most successful shows in ROH's 21-plus year history have been in the past year plus that I've been owning and running and presenting the company. And I think that's come from having a great roster with AEW and also great relationships in wrestling we've been able to tap into, including stuff that Ring of Honor has done well in the past, including like featuring top stars from New Japan Pro Wrestling, featuring some top women stars. But I think we took it to another level with one of the best main events in ROH and one of the best pay-per-views. And, certainly, like I said, top stars from New Japan, some top women wrestlers, and lucha stars. And we've got different affiliations in some ways, but I think overall, similar to AEW, this is a place for all great wrestlers. So I, very open-minded and optimistic about it.
and the other question I had, at least about the difficulty, you mentioned a little bit earlier about the difficulty of putting this card together. With you had the Eddie Kingston situation, and then obviously the Mark Briscoe situation where his knee was just not in enough condition for him to wrestle Claudio on this show. Has this helped you in regards to you're able to kind of think on the fly in regards to the matches, and then with everything that's gone on, at least with this card, will we be seeing some new, obviously things coming out of this in regards to it? We did notice that Claudio and Orange kind of had a little bit of a stare down at the end there. Want to see if that's kind of where you're going in regards to the next program for Claudio coming out of this.
Well, certainly it was a big altercation at the end. It was great to have Claudio versus Pac, but then that meant the BCC and the Death Triangle got involved. And we saw earlier in the night in the four-way tag, the Lucha Brothers really had it out with the Best Friends, and that continued. And when the Best Friends showed up, I think the crowd was very surprised to see the AEW International Champion, Orange Cassidy, run out. And there's some interesting things involving all these people on Dynamite. We've got the international champion, Orange Cassidy, defending the title against AR Fox, who had a tremendous match that really got the crowd going on the 0 Hour versus Shane Taylor, who's a great former ROH World Television Champion. And AR Fox versus Orange Cassidy, I think will be very, very good match and very exciting title defense on Wednesday. And was really good to hear a little bit more on AR Fox's background from Darby. Great to see AR Fox have a great match tonight. I think that'll be tremendous. I'm really excited about the three-way tag match, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus the Best Friends versus the Lucha Brothers, which I think came to me and I felt like we really wanted to see after that altercation. I had to put that one together for the fans on Wednesday as we're approaching 200 episodes of Dynamite. Great on episode 199, I think, to have a big match announced like that tonight with Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli, two of the biggest stars ever in AEW, and two great members of the BCC versus two members of the Death Triangle, the Lucha Brothers and the Best Friends. So certainly Orange getting involved. And then don't forget that on Wednesday, Pac will be wrestling a man who may have forgotten him, Gravity. Pac versus Gravity should be great too. And I thought Gravity, real star-making performance on pay-per-view in the opener versus Commander. Gravity's the brother of former ROH World Champion Bandito. And he's had some excellent matches. I thought, in particular, on Honor Club, a great match with Ray Phoenix several weeks ago, and a great opener. Gravity versus Commander, a great history of Lucha Libre. We just had great World Tag Team Champions with the Lucha Brothers, and of course, I thought it was awesome to have a great Lucha opener with Gravity versus Commander, and I think Gravity versus Pac will be a great match. So it was great to get all those people involved in a story, and you saw some top stars from AEW involved in ROH, which we see from time to time. Would you have a follow-up?
No, my follow-up was the Pac Gravity match.
Yeah, that was it. Ask about Pac versus Gravity.
I was going to say, you're booking a big grudge match there with Pac going against the guy that forgot him.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And I think that a lot of people were calling for it when they saw Gravity versus Phoenix, who's in Pac's stable. But Gravity really stepped up tonight with a huge win over Commander. And Commander's been excellent in AEW and Ring of Honor, too. Has picked up some big wins and been in some great matches against some of the top stars in both companies. Big fan of both guys, Commander and Gravity. Should be a great match, Gravity versus Pac. So a lot of exciting things happening involving some of the people you saw tonight in ROH on AEW Dynamite. And going to also have some exciting stuff involving people you saw tomorrow on AEW Collision on TNT, which I think is going to be an awesome, awesome show. And, you saw Action and Darius picking up a great win. And I think Action, Andretti, and Darius will be tremendous opponents for Jay White and Juice Robinson, who really are been on an amazing, amazing roll. I think Jay White and Juice Robinson have really been just great TV stars. And I think tonight we saw Darius in action, had a great match with a workhorseman. So I'm excited for that on Collision tomorrow. Should be a great Collision tomorrow.
Hi, Tony. Kimmy Sokol with the Pop Break. So since Collision has started, you have been content with taping Ring of Honor before and after Collision. But before Collision started, you were taping it in Orlando in the TV studio. Are you looking to possibly go back to Orlando in the near future, or are you just set on recording before and after Collision?
I'm very open to utilizing a studio tapings, but I think there's a lot of benefits to having the ROH crew traveling with the Collision crew. You're seeing people get opportunities like the really rising stars. Action Andretti is somebody that's very dangerous. We've seen Action Andretti beat Chris Jericho, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, on Wednesday Night Dynamite. We've seen Darius pick up huge wins along the way with Top Flight, including the $300,000 Three Kings Casino Trios Royale, where they beat Jon Moxley and Claudio and Yuta, the BCC, and a lot of the top stars. And so Top Flight, beating the Young Bucks on Dynamite. They've definitely, when you have great stars like that on ROH, they can get involved on Collision, and it really helps everybody. But I think it's, for the most part, at Collision, I'm focused on that show, but I also have this great crew that I'm very focused on ROH. in terms of like week to week to week long-term storytelling. And on this pay-per-view, you saw firsthand that like you can have long-term ideas that you think out really far in advance, but things can change them. And it's all kinds of different things. Like with Eddie, I made a choice. I think I wanted to let Eddie go to Japan, even if it meant changing some of the things that I originally was going to do on this show. And with Mark, it was an injury. There was no way to avoid it. With Willow and Athena, like we were saying, I wanted to announce Athena and Willow maybe a week sooner, but it was for the best to make sure Willow was okay when she got back, and it ended up being a great main event and a lot of positive changes too. But definitely a lot of things came together late. So yeah, I think you know, as we look at it, I think I'd be open to going back there, but I definitely really like doing it at Collision. I think there's a lot of veteran stars, and when you have some top names that could appear in both, I think that's great. But Collision's been a huge success for us, and I think everything we've done about it has been really great so far. So I probably wouldn't change much because I think the Saturdays have gone really, really well, and that part of that has been shooting the ROH shows and having a mix of veterans and young stars around Collision, which is also a great mix of veterans and young stars. Thanks.
John Alba Fight. Tony, you said before that there are different expectations for Ring of Honor versus AEW, and that was in reference to the pay-per-view buys. I understand that, but it got me thinking, now that we're a year into this here, based on the pay-per-view a year ago, what are your expectations for this brand? And saying this bluntly, but not in a negative sense necessarily, what is the point of Ring of Honor in the grand sphere of all this wrestling that's going on?
Ring of Honor is a great wrestling promotion. It's got a different mission. It's got a different audience than AEW. It's maybe more focused to a hardcore audience, and I can do things programmed to the hardcores and deliver the kind of wrestling that I know a hardcore fan is going to want to see. I think AEW speaks to maybe a broader, definitely a bigger and broader worldwide audience. Ring of Honor has a great 21-year history and was at one point, in my opinion, the #2 wrestling company in North America, if not the world. And when AEW launched, that changed things. AEW is a bigger challenger brand than there's been in pro wrestling since the 90s. And it's been a long time since there was a company like AEW that changed where Ring of Honor stood. But now Ring of Honor is back, and I think Ring of Honor is still a major company. It's not the #2 company in the world, but I think there's a clear 2 biggest companies, certainly in North America and I think worldwide. But really, I don't think Ring of Honor has ever been more influential or powerful or well-backed. I think these have been some of the best pay-per-view shows in the history of Ring of Honor over 21 years. And now, looking back, we've done 5 pay-per-views since I took over. And I really think they've been 5 of the best shows Ring of Honor has ever done on pay-per-view, and I stand by that. They've also been 5 of the biggest live attendance, and I haven't got the final numbers from tonight, but I think they'll be 5 of the biggest pay-per-view numbers, probably 5 of the 10 biggest live attendance and 5 of the 10 biggest pay-per-views of all time. So in 21-year history, I think to do that, just what we've done in a little over a year has been amazing. And it's also given young wrestlers a place to work, veteran wrestlers. It's given more opportunities. It helps build stories across wrestling for AEW, but also for our partners in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and we can bring in great lucha stars. And it's definitely had an impact on our AEW shows. And I think it's really great that Ring of Honor is back, and that was what I wanted to do. I didn't want the promotion to disappear because there's a lot of Ring of Honor fans, and the success of AEW probably changed the course of where Ring of Honor was going to go as a pro wrestling company. But I'm very glad to be the owner of Ring of Honor, and I enjoy booking Ring of Honor. I enjoy booking AEW. They're different things to a different audience in some ways, and I have different expectations, and there's different business expectations, but they're both great, and I think they exist very well, and I think they're very complementary. I also think the relationships we have in New Japan Pro Wrestling and Lucha Libre and other international and domestic wrestling promotions can also be very complementary, but certainly AEW and ROH work really well together. ROH has a great history with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and now AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think, is the most important and successful wrestling partnership in the world. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Aisha Lomax from Women's Wrestling Talk. You've said a lot about, the different promotions that you'd like to work with, that you have worked with. I guess in the grand scheme of things, and maybe piggybacking off of John's question a little bit, is how are you keeping Ring of Honor fresh? How do you keep it fresh on the creative, right? Like, again, there's right now we see still a lot of crossover from AEW, obviously. So what are your plans to keep it fresh? If you can give us anything specifically, if you can,
Sure.
that's possible.
Well, I think it involves bringing in different stars. There's some international stars that have competed on Ring of Honor, some that have crossed over. Willow's competed in New Japan, Ring of Honor, and AEW. Shibata-san has also competed in all three, but they come from different backgrounds, and both of them have fought tonight in great championship matches on this great pay-per-view. So I think with Ring of Honor, we bring in people from all over. There's nuanced differences, but I think it's a great question, like what specifically are they? So for some things, I think the TV shows have different time constraints, and there's just different benefits to doing things in Ring of Honor that aren't necessarily about like minute by minute TV ratings. There aren't necessarily commercial breaks like there are in AEW, which is the TV is like very specifically allocated a certain amount of time and breaks that need to go a certain amount per hour that you just have to do. And you don't really have those time constraints in ROH. But I think there's also different expectations on the pay-per-view, and you can program the pay-per-views differently. The ROH pay-per-views tend to be 3 hours, or more specifically 2 hours, 58 minutes and 30 seconds. And the AEW pay-per-views are 4 hours, or more 3, 58, 30. So basically you can do different amount of matches and to some extent, and different concentration of stories and matches, and bring in different international stars. And there's logistical things, like we were just talking about with where the shows are shot, allows you to bring in different people or use different combinations of people. So going forward, I'll continue to utilize relationships in wrestling, international wrestling stars. We've seen a little bit of that. It was great to see Utami come in, I think, and now we've got more opportunities to bring in more international wrestlers. And also, we've brought up some wrestlers through ROH that have gotten opportunities, more so in ROH than in AEW. But I think in AEW now, we've also got great stars who can continue wrestling in AEW, but also maybe cross over and make an appearance in ROH, like we've had with Willow here in ROH and also in New Japan, where she was a great, strong champion.
Kota Ibushi was here for Blood and Guts earlier this week. Did you ever have any discussions about maybe including him in tonight's show or possibly Collision tomorrow while he's still here in the States?
I thought it was such a perfect thing for Claudio versus Pac. They know each other very well, and two of the greatest wrestlers in the world. I think for Kota Ibushi, he just made his debut in AEW, and it'd be very quick to do that. And I think it was such a perfect match, and I think it made so much sense given what happened in Blood and Guts, Claudio versus Pac. It was very symmetrical that Pac was the one who walked out on Mox's team this week after Mox walked out on him in one of the first Dynamites, and even against Hangman and Kenny, who were back together in this match. So a lot of things tied together in this great Blood and Guts. I thought it would be perfect given the tenor of the situation, maybe a miscommunication, that Claudio and Pac left it where I really wanted to see that as a one-on-one world championship match tonight on Death Before Dishonor.
Really quick follow-up, but it's interesting that you went there because I wasn't immediately thinking the world title match. I was just curious, any match on the card, just utilizing him more while he's here in the States. Just
I thought you meant
not specifically the world title match, just using him in a match.
Well, I think I saw a lot of people saying that would make a lot of sense. I think that would be a great match, certainly with Claudio, and it was they were matched up in the Blood and Guts match. I think that would be a great match at some point, but for tonight, coming out of the Blood and Guts match, I felt like the natural match was Claudio versus Pac, given the way things left, and with Claudio being the champion, and certainly he and Pac were very upset with each other at the end. Thanks. No, but certainly I'd love to have any show we can have Ibushi on. I'm very excited about.
Congratulations on the fantastic show that we got to witness tonight. And like we mentioned before, we have the amazing women's main event. And like you mentioned, RH is definitely targeted at a very sophisticated fan. So we've seen RH do some daring things that some other promotions don't. We see women wrestle hardcore matches. So my question is there a future plan of maybe narrowing the gap when it comes to the number of women's matches on the card versus the number of men's matches?
Well, I think it's both companies have featured great stars, great women's champions for these pay-per-views. I thought the presentation was very strong this pay-per-view. I think most of the Ring of Honor pay-per-views, Athena has now been involved in several great matches, but this was probably the best one yet, so it was very fitting. It was the main event. Mercedes Martinez had been a great champion too in ROH. We've had some great women's champions in AEW. I think it speaks to the quality of the ROH women's wrestling that the main event tonight was one of the best pay-per-view main events we've ever had, and the shows have all been great, and this stood there with one of the great matches. So, I hopefully we can continue. I think it takes a great rivalry and a great match to build to that, and really, I thought Willow and Athena earned this spot with the great match they had first on the second episode we ever did of the ROH TV. And after that great match, it made me think, like, that is a main event. That is potentially a pay-per-view main event. And this feels like a great rivalry to me. And it made a lot of sense for Willow, who has had a really big past week, winning the Owen Hart Foundation Cup. And last Friday, a week ago tonight, she wrestled Athena in another great match. And then Willow won the cup. And I thought it was fitting that we would then go right with all that momentum into this great trilogy. And both of them red hot, and Athena won the match, won the trilogy, but I thought both of them came out looking like great stars tonight and in all their matches and just in the past week. So really very, very excited about what that pay-per-view was. And I thought a pay-per-view, certainly you have to start talking about it with the main event. And that was one of the ones that we'll always remember. So I felt like they really earned the spot with the work they did on TV, which is, a huge part of pay-per-view wrestling. And it's in AEW, we've had a lot of great matches too. And I'm sure if somebody in rivalries reach that point where they're like the best match in the history of Dynamite, then it would be make sense for it to be a pay-per-view main event. Cause I thought we've done a lot of episodes of the ROH TV, and I think that one of the best matches, probably if not the best match on the TV show, was the first match in this trilogy, the Athena versus Willow match. Also a really great match on Rampage. Tonight was a great pay-per-view main event. So if something's one of the best matches in Dynamite history or Collision history, then I would consider it for, hey, that's a big pay-per-view match. But I think, that's and there's been stuff in that consideration before. So that's the thinking that goes into it.
Tony, my name is Anthony Caruso, publisher of the Capital Sports Report. You had events in Atlantic City with AEW. You're going to be in Newark tomorrow. First time here in Trenton. What's your thoughts on using this market and having more events here in the future?
Well, I love being here. We've done a lot of great shows in New Jersey. It was great to have Ring of Honor in Trenton. It was a great crowd. And certainly I think we could come back here and do great numbers with ROH again or with AEW. And tomorrow we're doing Collision in Newark. It's supposed to be a great crowd. We've had a lot of great shows at the Prudential Center. It was very cool to be able to go to the Prudential Center this week. I was just in Minneapolis. I went from Boston for Blood and Guts and Red Eye to Minneapolis to be there as Josh Harris, the owner of the Prudential Center and the Devils and the 76ers and now the Washington Commanders. And great to be there in person with my dad as Josh got confirmed as the new owner. And of course, he's the owner of the Prudential Center. So it'll be great to go to that venue tomorrow and hopefully have a great show again here in New Jersey. Like you said, we've had awesome shows in Atlantic City. We already referenced what an awesome match it was with Shibata versus Orange Cassidy, with Mike Tyson on commentary for what was called the All Atlantic City Dream match. And I thought it was an excellent, excellent match. So I love coming up here to New Jersey. And I think Trenton has been a great site. Newark, Atlantic City, a lot of great options. And we'll keep coming to New Jersey for a long time for wrestling. Great fans here. Thank you.
Final few for Tony.
Rob Williams, the Pop Break. Tony, you mentioned the word opportunity over and over again. Piggybacking on what John said earlier, we saw Daniel Garcia and Willow Nightingale tonight get that tap on the shoulder, getting that opportunity. We've seen you do so much for independent talent with AEW Dark, with AEW Elevation, now with ROH. First of all, thank you for that. We've seen the Lady Frost, the meme. You've seen Trisha Dora tonight. I mean, how important is it for you to have ROH be somewhat synonymous with the next generation of talent?
Well, I have always wanted to feature the top independent wrestlers, people on the cutting edge, and we've been able to make a lot of stars that way. Take people that had done well in the independents, also take people that were more, frankly, obscure as far as national recognition, and then package them up and have them be very successful. Some of them champions in AEW and now in Ring of Honor too. And I think there's a lot of people that came up that way. So whether in Ring of Honor, it's the Gates of Agony, or in AEW, Powerhouse Hobbs, the Acclaimed, and many others, and then giving opportunities to people who are heralded independent wrestlers like Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, Willow Nightingale, and a lot of other people. A lot of great people in AEW over the years with really good eyes that brought people to our attention. And when I've seen people, whether it was in AEW or ROH, that clicked with the audience, that clicked with the company, that made sense on the TV and for pay-per-view shows, we wanted to give them those opportunities and put people in the spotlight. And that's something we have in common with AEW and Ring of Honor for sure. And I really appreciate you saying that, because I definitely want to keep the spirit of independent wrestling out there. AEW, it may be the world's largest independent wrestling company in many ways, but we're also the true challenger brand and an international powerhouse in the business, which is awesome. And there are places where we actually are the number one wrestling company in the world in some markets, including the UK, which is one of the great markets, and some exciting things to come. Of course, I've been to ROH in the UK before, so that wouldn't be a first, but AEW's never done a show in the UK or Europe, and I can't wait to go to London. Some very, very exciting stuff to come for AEW this year, and also I think ROH, we got great international partnerships, and tonight was a great event. Is anybody coming to Collision tomorrow? It's great. Well, I think it's going to be really great show for Collision. Also, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a new thing. I think the shows have been excellent. Last week was probably, I thought, the best show yet. Some of the best matches we've had on the show, and some of the best matches we've ever had in AEW recently on Collision, and it's been excellent. Dynamite really clicking, #1 show on television on Wednesday on cable, and one of the top, I think, 4 shows on all of TV on Wednesday night. So Dynamite doing really well, and Collision now off to a great start. You're going to want to catch it from the very beginning. Excited to follow up. We had great Owen Hart Cup wins for Willow and Ricky Starks. I think Willow's after tonight and the hard-fought match. She may not be available, but we'll definitely follow up and recap, and she'll be back. It's after a long match like that. To ask her to turn around and get in the ring might be a stretch, but she certainly will be involved in some kind of, will follow up and document her great win in the Owen Hart Cup final. And certainly Ricky Starks, I expect to start the show with his celebration, but I can promise you, I know for a fact, CM Punk will be there at Collision, and he's looking for a fight. You're not going to want to miss it. Tune into the start. It'll be a great show, I promise. And we'll still be announcing stuff, and it'll be a great card, I promise. So you're not going to want to miss it. Tune in from the very beginning. Collision setting a very high standard, and I thought this was one of the best Dynamites ever. This past week, I really enjoyed the Royal Rampage. I think many of you physically probably have not seen the Royal Rampage yet, I'm guessing. And when you see it, you're really going to enjoy it. You check it out before you come in for Collision tomorrow if you can. And Collision is going to be great. And tonight I thought was excellent. I'm very grateful to all the ROH wrestlers and all the staff that were here, and very grateful to the fans, and very grateful to the media. And I know all of us, I know I'm a wrestling fan working in wrestling, and I think a lot of you, even though you're professional media members, I think you're also many wrestling fans, and that's probably why most of you, I would imagine, got into this. And for me as a wrestling fan, I really enjoyed this. It was not the easiest road to get here. It was a series of challenging decisions, whether it was changing everything out and telling Eddie, yeah, I want you to go to Japan, chase this, and I can't wait till you're back, and I think you'll be in even a stronger position when you come back, pun intended. And then to lose Mark Briscoe to injury, which is just devastating. But I think it's not as bad as it could have been. And hopefully Mark Briscoe will be back sooner rather than later, because he's on an amazing run this year, and he's one of the greatest stars ever in Ring of Honor. Mark and Jay Briscoe, Hall of Famers, and Mark Briscoe's on a roll right now, and Jay Briscoe is so important to the legacy of Ring of Honor and always will be. And of course, like I said, with changing things around a little bit to accommodate, to make sure that Willow was going to be available to continue wrestling this past week, that she recovered from that hard-hitting match with Julia for the New Japan Strong title at Independence Day. All these things and many other things nobody even really knows about. I think was waiting for Mark Davis to get cleared from his knee injury. We haven't really talked at all about the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I thought the 4-way match was excellent. Excellent match. And just for 1 second. It meant a lot to have Shibata here. It means a lot what he said. I really take it to heart, the compliments he paid and the nice stuff he said, but he means a lot to so many people in the locker room. And, that was another match where I think we wanted to have that press conference, that moment with Garcia disrespecting him, and he pinned him. And that was also worth the wait. And I thought a lot of stuff on the show to get to the build of it. I would have liked to have announced stuff or picked everything out sooner, but circumstances didn't dictate it that way. And I thought it all came together to be a really, really great show. But I'm really grateful, as I was saying to all of you. I hope you enjoyed the show as fans, and hopefully as media members, we were able to answer all your questions and treat you very well. And whether it was that great main event, some of the great action just up and down the card, or like I said, the main event was really special, and just Shibata, it was just a really special moment. So I just really appreciate you all being here, because tonight meant a lot. And like you said, I think it's a very sophisticated wrestling fan that would appreciate some of these wrestlers, some more independent wrestlers, not as well known nationally or even internationally. But the way it came out, it was a special night. It was a special thing to have that main event, the great card. And again, I really appreciate the way you all paid great respect to Shibata for him to come in here, not having English as his first language, and to get the kind of respect and to be able to have the kind of open communication and rapport that he had with you. I thought that was really, really cool. So thank you to all of you in the room specifically for that. And thanks for being here. Thank you.